Hi there and welcome to this channel. So I'm not going to take your time, I'm going to get right into the video of the day. And in this video I'm telling you all of the details, all of the tea, everything that happened in the palace that preceded Queen Naomi's exit from the Ooni of Ife's house. You know that the Ooni of Ife has been in the news now for a couple of weeks because of, marriage. Is on his fourth wife, at least in the palace that we know of. And recall that a few days before he actually got this new woman into the palace, Queen Naomi came out to say that enough is enough. She's actually really tired at this point and she just wants custody of her son. I'm going to get to that, the old battling for custody thing. I'm going to get to that. But she came to say that she's going to tell us everything that happened and why she left the palace in such a haste and in such a hurry. And we're like, okay, we are here for the tea. So that tea is what I'm going to spill in this video. Follow me, let's go. Okay, so Naomi has decided that the best way to serve her revenge and to break her silence is not just to come and tell us what happened, but to also change her status in the society, change her name, get recognized in a different way. That's what she decided to do. And before I tell you verbatim the words of Queen Naomi, let me tell you what somebody else said and how Prince Tadenikawo, who is going to be 2 by the way in November, in a couple of months, how Prince Tadenikawo was actually conceived. Bear in mind that personally, I have no issue with whatever way you want to conceive your child, in as much as you get what you want, a child, yeah? But the thing is, the palace tried to bully Naomi into silence, into not talking and telling us what happened and everything that happened. She wanted to live peacefully, but the palace have decided that, no, this woman, you are not going to live just like that. And I don't know for whatever reason. So let me tell you what happened and how Prince Tadenikawo was conceived and the horror that Queen Naomi, actually had to go through in the hands of the king before she left him. Recall that in her breakup message to the king, she mentioned that this man has a different persona and his personality in the home is actually really different. That is because this man had other women in the palace before Naomi entered. Recall that at every point in time, not even recall, it is quite glaring. At every point in time, the king only introduces one woman to the public as his wife, as the queen, yeah? But imagine Naomi's shock, 26-year-old woman, going into the palace thinking, oh, 40-something-year-old man wants me, desires me, I'm going into wealth, all of those things, only for her to get into the palace to realize that there are several other women in the palace. And not just that, for the king to tell this woman that you don't get to talk to anybody in the palace. And she was like, well, okay, I think I can deal with that. It's not so much a handle. But then she now tried to conceive. And that is because the king has all these women in the palace, but he rarely gets intimate with them. According to Esabod, please, it is Esabod that has said all of these things. And she says that she has evidences that she can actually tender. If, Yam Pepe wants to scatter, she has things that she can tender, sources and informants who give her all of these things from the palace. So apparently the king does not touch all these women in the palace. He just leaves them there. Whenever he feels like he goes in with them. You understand that, yeah? But Queen Naomi's case happened and she was thinking, oh, I'm young, I'll get a child soon. But that was not happening. So 2 years down the line, they had to decide to do IVF, yeah, to just help her conceive. And eventually, glory to God, she conceived of the prince Tadenikawo. But in the period between the conception and her giving birth, it was really hard for her. She was vomiting. There were times when she would feel like, okay, talking to her husband, the king, and she would call the Ooni of Ife, and the Ooni of Ife is not going to respond. It's going to be in the same palace with her. Remember that he already put her on a hold, that she can't speak to any other person in the palace. So she had nobody to talk to. And so the Ooni said, okay, fine, get your mom. Let her stay with you in the palace if that is what you need, if you want somebody to talk to. So her mom came into the palace to stay with her. We understand that. Recall that the child was gotten through IVF, yeah? So her mom stayed in the palace with her, all of the pregnancy symptoms, everything she would go through. And that for several days, this woman would cry and cry. In fact, a certain festival that happened when Ooni of Ife, shortly after the queen took the baby to the palace. Remember, this was such a festival when Tadenikawo was born. I'm digressing, but I want to tell you something with that. That there was this event where she wore white and she had this very huge thing on her head as a head dress, and that video, her face was really swollen, and according to reports, Naomi actually had been crying for about 3 days consecutively, non-stop, because of how terrible she was feeling in the palace. But she couldn't say nothing. She was trying to keep the face. She couldn't say nothing. And that for several times, the Ooni of Ife told Naomi that the only reason Naomi is in the palace is because, well, they just want him to have a wife, and they are really poor in their family. So let me tell you this. Apparently, this man tries to get together with wealthy persons, and it might not have as much as we think he has. Recall that when he got coronated in 2015, we thought, oh, this man was wealthy. Apparently, he wasn't so wealthy, and so he didn't really have enough things to back up what he promised Naomi. You get? So that was one of the things that made this lady very tired, and that was one of the things that she revealed made her leave the palace, because there was nothing to back up all of the gra-gra of the king. So let's go back to the pregnancy situation. Her mom came to stay with her, but she really could not cope because the king was still maltreating them, reminding them at every instance that it's a privilege that they're in the palace with him. It's a privilege that they're even in the palace of an influential person. If not for him, Naomi would not know what it means to even board a plane and leave the shores of Nigeria. So she should literally worship him, because he is that and many more to her. So in the heat of all of these things, while she was pregnant, Naomi actually went to Akure, Ondo State. And when she got there, the king ordered her to return to Ile-Ife. So she had to come back to Ile-Ife, only for the king to now tell her to leave and go back to Akure, because apparently Orunmila, the god, you know, that they have in the palace and all of those things, is not okay with having a pregnant woman in his abode. So she had to leave the palace again. So that was why there was such a festival when she gave birth and had to bring Tadenikawo, come present Tadenikawo to the Ooni of Ife. So it was even absent from the point of, you know, throughout the whole pregnancy and even up to the delivery, and afterwards it was absent because apparently Orunmila was not in support of having a pregnant woman in his abode. So that went that she had to go, and then she brought Prince Tadenikawo into the palace. But then even at that, one would think that, or this man, that over the course of several years, I've not had a child. The Ooni has a child, a grown-up daughter that he bore in 1994 as a teenager. And that's like the only child he had. He was married to another person, Adebukola, for over 8 years, and they do not have a child together. Then he got married to Zainab Otiti, there was no child. Then he got married to Naomi, and so he had this child and a prince for that matter. A lot of persons would think that, oh, the king would want to be more enthusiastic, would want to be more involved, given that he has a heir to the throne, apparently, and also that he has another child after several years of, you know, having just one child that he was even a deadbeat father to. So his first child is a female, and she was born to him by Omolara, right, Olatunbo's son. And this woman granted an interview shortly after the king's coronation back in 2015, and she said that the king was absent in the life of Omolara for the longest time. That it was a dead, but then a lot of persons were like, oh, it was a teenager, you know, it was teen pregnancy, both of you are co-parenting, might not really understand the gravity of being a father that period. So like, oh, let's forgive the king, let's not allow it, let's just make it go away. So the whole interview that Omolara did, where she revealed how absent he was in the life of their child, and you know, Omolara herself even has said it. Omolara herself even has said it, that the king was absent for the better part of our years on earth, right? Apparently, the king has also done that, or is currently doing that to Tadenikawo, which will bring me to the issue of the custody, that the custody battle that the king and his wife actually have, that you currently have. So apparently, he's been absent to the life of Tadenikawo. Recall that the baby was conceived via IVF. It wasn't even there for the conception of his own child. Pregnancy period, said the woman was ranting too much, too needy, sent her back to Akure. That Orunmila did not want somebody in the palace that is pregnant, including her mother. Both of them cried and cried, then returned her to the palace. Now that Tadenikawo is even here with us, apparently the Ooni of Ife actually really did not care that much for Tadenikawo. So all of this culminated to what made Naomi decide that, guy, I'm just done. Money, you know, get peace of mind, you know, give me. Why I can't carry, you know, from 26 to 29, I was a young babe, happening babe. I was a prophetess, highly revered in Akure on those days. I've had my ministry for years, and you're here calling me a pauper because I don't have as much influence as you think I would have. What am I? A mere prophetess? What did you think I have? you know. So that was all of the things that made Queen Naomi decide that she was going to leave the palace. Side note, guys, realize that I'm still calling this woman queen. So the thing is, this woman cannot be an ex-queen. You know why? She already has a child for the king. So she cannot. She's always going to be a queen. There's nothing you want to say or do about it. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that really beautiful? I actually think that's like the most beautiful part of everything, you know. I mean, regardless of how many wives the Ooni of Ife wants to marry, Naomi's place secured, always queen, even if they're not saying eye to eye. So let me continue talking about saying the child situation. So the king has not been present, and when Naomi tried to leave the palace, the Oba was like, nah, you're not going with my son. And she was like, did you ever recognize this child? Did you not make my life a living hell while I was in pregnancy? Even after the birth of this child, you've made things really difficult for me. I've just had to always smile for you in public, come and take photo ops as if, no, we are always well with us and we are together, when in reality, things are actually not fine between us. So I want my son with me. And that also ushers us into the next thing I'm going to be talking about, Tadenikawo's situation. I've told you how Tadenikawo was conceived, what Esabod had to say, and she said she had evidences. I'm going to talk about the custody now, and I'm going to tell you finally about Naomi's situation and how she decided to pepper the king and his new wife. Yay, let's continue. So Tadenikawo, the battle has been ongoing concerning the custody. Naomi went to Akure, Ondo State. That's her home. I'll always, you know, that's where she knows. And so she returned to Akure, Ondo State, and the king has been ordering her to return to the palace, among others. And she's like, you're not even paying my rent in Akure. Yes, the king did not buy a house for Naomi. Throughout the 3 years, she does not have a house of her own. I don't know how to feel about that. Like, as a person, it's doing me somehow in my body. This is my personal opinion. It's really doing me really somehow in my body. Because like, how will you not buy? I mean, I feel like that's the first step. Like, as I'm coming to your house, you're giving me key for your house. I'm coming to marry a king. I mean, one of the first class kings in Nigeria. It's something as it should be as easy as you saying, oh, I want a parcel of land in this part of town. You shouldn't even say you want to pay. You should be able to, I want a parcel of land there. Yeah, you have contractor, yeah, build house for this. Well, she does not have a house. So she's like, you're not paying my rent, you're not doing nothing for me, I now want to have my son, which is what made Naomi come on that rant 2 days before the internet got to know that Mariam Anako had gone into the palace of the Ooni of Ife. Do you understand how this thing is tying together now? So apparently that time it was a battle that they went to. They had to take out the IGP's office in Akure, Ondo State, over the situation of Tadenikawo and what have you. That was what made her come to say, if you people push me too much, everything that these bloggers are saying that they have evidence, me myself, I'm evidence, I'm a walking evidence, I will come and spill. And her sister encouraged her and said, see babe, enough is enough. Time for you to not let the sleeping dogs lie. Time for you to wake up the sleeping dog. Let us wake trouble in the feet. Let us, you know, let us spoil everywhere. But Naomi is still being really gentle, although she's throwing in here and there that she's ready to talk and do things her own way and let everybody know what she actually went through in the house and in the hand of the king, among other things. So yeah, finger crossed for when Queen Naomi will actually have the balls to actually speak up and say exactly what made her leave the palace and what has made her refuse any reconciliation. Because funny as it may sound, the Ooni apparently is still on Naomi's case, still wants Naomi back in the palace, and it's like, how and why? Like, how and why? Just make it make sense. Why do you want to do that to this young woman? So that is what is currently happening. And Mariam Anako entering the palace, according to reports, is because she's a wealthy person. Recall that it is no secret that the thing that endeared Mariam, that endeared the king to Mariam, is that endeared Mariam to the king rather, is because Mariam helped him broker a deal with our company, Nest Oil, which is a top executive. She grew up in the home of a former Inspector General of Police. So this woman is well connected. Her mom is a former police officer. Her auntie, her sister is working with Femi Jamila, you know, one of the personal assistants. So she's like really well connected. So they are saying that that is why the king actually decided to go for this woman. And even the person that is rumored to be the next wife, she is also doing well for herself. She's in tech. So they are saying that this man is just looking for, you know, people that are actually well to do in order to help shock everywhere is lacking in the course of his life. But then Queen Naomi has bagged a PhD degree. So yay for this woman. In her own words, in her statements, Queen Naomi, I'm paraphrasing here, said that another feather has been added to her crown. And she asked us, will there be any crown in your own, would there be any feather in your own crown at the end of the day? I mean, she related it back to being a prophetess among others, but she said it's great for her. She's just grateful that she is now a doctor, honorary doctor actually, by the Miles Leadership University. She was conferred upon, and it was a great feat. A lot of persons are really happy for her, saying this is just great. This is how you do it. This is how you level up. The king called you uneducated. The king called you and your family poor. The king said you would not die. You're a dropout. Yes, Queen Naomi actually dropped out of the Adekunle Ajayi University at the age of 19 in order to focus fully on ministry. She was a university student, but she dropped out to focus on ministry. So the king actually apparently used to abuse her, saying she dropped out of school. But look at her now. She is a doctor, and you can't take that away from her. Persons are saying they are just happy for Queen Naomi leveling up and doing things the boss way, while still being a philanthropist, while still being a queen mother, and still fighting for the custody of our almost 2-year-old son, Tadenikawa. Anyways, guys, this is where I'm going to end this video. Let me know if you enjoyed it, and also please share your thoughts in the comment section. Everything I said, is it true? If you have evidence and you don't want to keep it, you can just let us know in the comment section that, oh, you are very much aware, you are privy to all of this situation, or how the IVF thing happened. Maybe even help to inject Queen Naomi. You can come and tell us that you were there when the whole thing was happening. We are very open to, getting the right information and putting out the right gist for everybody who needs it at the right time. And if you don't want to miss hot gist like this, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the bell icon that will notify you when we have new updates for you to view. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much, and bye.